Self-awareness is one of the most powerful indicators of personal growth. It is the ability to see yourself clearly, to recognize your thoughts, emotions, and behaviors for what they are, and to understand how they impact your life and the lives of those around you. The moment you begin to develop true self-awareness, you step into a higher state of existence, one where you are no longer blindly driven by impulses, but instead guided by insight and intentionality. Most people go through life without ever truly seeing themselves. They react to situations driven by old habits, unchecked emotions, and unconscious patterns. They repeat the same mistakes, get caught in the same destructive cycles, and blame everything but themselves for their suffering. The inability to recognize their own flaws keeps them stagnant. They fail to grow because they are blind to the very things holding them back. True self-awareness is rare, and yet it is the foundation of all meaningful progress. Growth begins the moment you start seeing yourself with clarity. When you look at your past actions, not with defensiveness or excuses, but with honest reflection, you gain something incredibly valuable: the ability to change. You can't fix what you refuse to acknowledge. The second you recognize a mistake and accept responsibility for it, you separate yourself from the version of you that made it. This is why discomfort often accompanies growth, because self-awareness requires confronting things about yourself that you may not like. Think about a moment in your life when you realized you had been wrong about something. Maybe you handled a situation poorly. Maybe you were unfair to someone. Maybe you let fear, pride, or insecurity dictate your actions. In that instant of recognition, you had two choices: ignore it and continue as you were, or face it, learn from it, and change. Those who lack self-awareness will justify their behavior. They will blame others, make excuses, or rewrite reality to protect their ego. But those who are growing will accept the truth no matter how uncomfortable and use it as fuel to improve. One of the clearest signs of self-awareness is the ability to observe your own thoughts and emotions without immediately acting on them. People who lack this ability are controlled by their emotions. They lash out in anger, shut down in fear, or give up in frustration. They don't realize they have a choice. But self-awareness gives you that choice. When you can step back and say, I feel angry right now, but I don't have to react with anger. Or I feel afraid, but that doesn't mean I should run. You have gained power over yourself. This is what separates those who grow from those who stay the same. Another key aspect of self-awareness is the ability to recognize patterns in your own behavior. If you keep finding yourself in the same situations, whether it's toxic relationships, financial struggles, or professional setbacks, it's easy to believe that life is just unfair. But a person with true self-awareness will ask, what role am I playing in this? What am I doing, consciously or unconsciously, that is leading me here? They will look at their habits, their decision-making processes, their fears and desires, and identify the patterns that need to change. This is why people who grow often outgrow old habits, environments, and even relationships. As they become more aware of themselves, they naturally start making better choices, and their lives begin to shift. Self-awareness also changes how you see others. The more you understand your own emotions, motivations, and flaws, the more you understand those of the people around you. You start to recognize that most people are acting out of their own unconscious struggles, their own fears and insecurities. This brings a level of empathy and patience that you may not have had before. You stop taking things so personally. You stop reacting with immediate judgment. Instead, you start seeing people for who they truly are, just as you are beginning to see yourself. But self-awareness is not a destination, it is a lifelong process. No matter how much you grow, there will always be more to uncover, more to learn, more blind spots to illuminate. The goal is not to become perfect, but to continuously strive for greater understanding. The more self-aware you become, the more control you gain over your own life. You stop being a passive participant in your story and start becoming the author of it. The challenge with self-awareness is that it requires brutal honesty. It demands that you take responsibility for your actions, your emotions, and your choices. It is far easier to blame external circumstances than to admit that the biggest obstacle in your life might be you. But this honesty, though difficult, is also liberating. The moment you take full responsibility for who you are and where you are in life, you realize that you also have the power to change. Seeking approval is a natural human tendency. From a young age, people are conditioned to look for validation, first from parents, then from teachers, peers, and society as a whole. It feels good to be accepted, to be praised, to be recognized. But when the need for approval becomes the driving force behind decisions, it turns into a weakness rather than a strength. The pursuit of external validation often leads people away from their true selves, causing them to prioritize what others think over what they truly want. In reality, approval is overrated, and real fulfillment comes from within, not from the opinions of others. One of the biggest dangers of constantly seeking approval is that it leads to a life of compromise. Instead of following their own path, people shape their choices based on what will earn them praise or acceptance. They suppress their true thoughts and desires to fit into social expectations. They take jobs they don't like, follow trends they don't care about, and avoid expressing opinions that might be unpopular. In doing so, they sacrifice authenticity for the illusion of acceptance. But the truth is, no matter how hard you try, you will never gain universal approval. Someone will always disapprove, criticize, or misunderstand you. Living for approval is a losing game. Another reason approval is overrated is that it is often temporary and shallow. People's opinions change constantly. What is admired today may be ridiculed tomorrow. Those who praise you now may criticize you later. If your sense of self-worth is tied to external approval, you will always feel unstable, shifting with the opinions of others. True confidence and fulfillment come not from the applause of others, but from knowing that you are living in alignment with your own values and principles. Seeking approval can also lead to a fear of failure. People who are overly concerned with what others think tend to avoid risks. They don't want to make mistakes because they fear being judged. As a result, they stay in their comfort zones, avoiding opportunities for growth. But failure is a necessary part of progress. The most successful people in history did not get where they are by seeking approval. They got there by taking bold risks, facing criticism, and pushing forward despite opposition. Growth comes from stepping outside of social validation and doing what is right, even when it is unpopular. A person who is addicted to approval is easily controlled. When your happiness depends on external validation, you give other people power over you. You become afraid to say no, afraid to disappoint, afraid to stand alone. This makes it easy for others to manipulate you, to guilt you into decisions, or to pressure you into conforming. True freedom comes when you detach yourself from the need for approval. When you no longer seek constant validation, you gain the ability to make decisions based on your own judgment rather than the expectations of others. Ironically, the people who are most respected are often those who do not seek approval. Leaders, innovators, and creators are not driven by the opinions of the crowd. They follow their own vision, even when others doubt them. They take risks, speak their minds, and pursue their passions regardless of whether they are praised or criticized. Over time, people come to respect those who stand firm in their convictions rather than those who constantly seek validation. By prioritizing authenticity over approval, you not only gain self-respect, but also earn the respect of others. Breaking free from the need for approval does not mean ignoring feedback or refusing to consider others' perspectives. It is important to learn from criticism and be open to growth, but there is a difference between constructive feedback and seeking approval as a source of self-worth. The key is to listen to feedback without letting it define you. Take what is useful, discard what is not, and stay true to your values. At the core of this issue is self-acceptance. When you accept yourself fully, flaws and all, you no longer need external validation to feel worthy. You realize that your value is not determined by how many people approve of you, but by your own sense of purpose and integrity. When you stop chasing approval, you gain something much greater: inner peace, confidence, and the freedom to live on your own terms. Approval is overrated because it is fleeting, unreliable, and often meaningless. What truly matters is living a life that is true to who you are. Responsibility is one of the most powerful forces for personal growth. It is the act of accepting the burdens of life willingly rather than running from them. The moment you take responsibility for something, whether it be your actions, your future, or the well-being of others, you initiate the process of transformation. People who refuse responsibility remain stagnant. They blame circumstances, other people, or bad luck for their failures, never realizing that by avoiding responsibility, they are also avoiding progress. Taking responsibility means recognizing that regardless of external factors, you have control over your response to life's challenges. There will always be hardships, obstacles, and situations that seem unfair, but the way you react to them determines your growth. Some people crumble under pressure, believing that their problems are someone else's fault. Others rise to the occasion, understanding that even if something isn't their fault, it is still their responsibility to deal with it. That shift in mindset is what separates those who remain stuck from those who move forward. The first step in taking responsibility is acknowledging that no one is coming to save you. Many people wait for a lucky break, a helping hand, or a perfect set of circumstances before they begin to change. But life doesn't work that way. If you sit back and wait, you will be waiting forever. The only way to progress is to take ownership of your situation, no matter how difficult it is, and start doing something about it. This doesn't mean you have to fix everything overnight, but it does mean accepting that your life is ultimately in your hands. One of the strongest indicators of personal growth is the willingness to take on more responsibility. At first, responsibility may seem like a burden, something to be avoided. But in reality, it is the weight that strengthens you. Just like muscles grow through resistance, a person grows by taking on challenges. The more responsibility you accept, the more capable you become. You stop seeing problems as overwhelming and start seeing them as opportunities to prove yourself. There is a reason why the people who achieve the most in life are the ones who carry the heaviest burdens. Leaders, innovators, and creators are not people who avoid responsibility. They are the ones who embrace it. They step forward when others hesitate. They take charge of situations when no one else will. They are not necessarily the smartest or the most talented, but they are the ones willing to bear the weight of responsibility. And in doing so, they grow into the kind of people who can handle even greater challenges. Many people think that responsibility is something forced upon them, but the truth is that the most meaningful responsibilities are the ones we choose. Choosing responsibility means voluntarily accepting the difficult path instead of the easy one. It means saying, I will take care of this even when you don't have to. It means committing to something bigger than yourself. This could be a job, a relationship, a family, or even a personal goal. The more responsibility you take on, the more progress you make. Personal responsibility extends to every area of life. In your career, taking responsibility means not blaming your boss, your coworkers, or the economy for your lack of progress. It means asking yourself, what can I do to improve? It means learning new skills, working harder, and adapting to challenges. In relationships, responsibility means owning your actions and emotions instead of expecting others to fix your problems. It means being accountable for the way you treat people and not making excuses for your behavior. In personal development, responsibility means setting goals, following through, and being disciplined even when no one is watching. Avoiding responsibility may seem easier in the short term, but it leads to stagnation. When you refuse responsibility, you give away your power. You become dependent on others to fix your problems. You remain at the mercy of circumstances. But when you take responsibility, you take control. You become the kind of person who creates solutions instead of waiting for them. You develop resilience, confidence, and the ability to handle whatever life throws at you. People who take responsibility also gain the respect of others. Whether in the workplace, in relationships, or in society, those who step up and take ownership are the ones who are trusted, valued, and admired. They are the ones people turn to in times of difficulty because they have proven that they can handle pressure. The more responsibility you take, the more capable and influential you become. Of course, responsibility is not easy. It requires effort, sacrifice, and sometimes discomfort. There will be moments when it feels overwhelming, but those are the moments when growth happens. When you push through the challenges that come with responsibility, you come out stronger on the other side. Every time you take on something difficult and succeed, you prove to yourself that you are more capable than you once thought. Emotional control is one of the most powerful abilities a person can develop. It is the difference between being a master of your own life and being a victim of your emotions. Those who lack emotional control are at the mercy of their impulses. They react instead of respond. They allow anger, fear, frustration, or sadness to dictate their actions, often leading to regret and unnecessary suffering. But those who develop emotional control gain an incredible advantage in life. They think before they act. They remain calm under pressure. They make decisions based on logic and wisdom rather than fleeting emotions. In short, emotional control is power. Many people believe that controlling emotions means suppressing them, but that is not true. Suppression only buries emotions temporarily, allowing them to build up and eventually explode in destructive ways. True emotional control is not about ignoring emotions, but understanding them, processing them, and choosing how to express them in a constructive manner. It is about recognizing your feelings without allowing them to take over your mind and dictate your behavior. The first step toward emotional control is self-awareness. Most people are not fully aware of how their emotions influence their thoughts and actions. They lash out in anger and only later realize the damage they have caused. They let fear hold them back without questioning whether that fear is rational. They allow frustration to cloud their judgment instead of taking a step back to reassess the situation. But when you become aware of your emotions in the moment, you create space between feeling and action. You give yourself the power to choose how to respond rather than simply reacting on impulse. One of the greatest advantages of emotional control is the ability to stay calm under pressure. Life is unpredictable and difficult situations will always arise. Whether it's a personal crisis, a stressful work situation, or a conflict with another person, emotional control allows you to handle challenges with clarity and composure. When others panic, you remain steady. When others lash out, you respond with reason. This not only improves your ability to navigate difficult situations, but also earns you the respect and trust of those around you. People gravitate toward those who can remain calm when everything else is chaotic. Another critical aspect of emotional control is resilience. Life is full of setbacks, disappointments, and failures. Those who lack emotional control allow these hardships to break them. They dwell on negativity, spiral into self-pity, and give up when things become difficult. But those who have mastered their emotions acknowledge their struggles without letting them define them. They process their feelings, learn from their mistakes, and move forward with determination. Emotional control gives you the ability to endure hardship without losing focus, to experience failure without losing confidence, and to face rejection without losing self-worth. Emotional control also plays a vital role in relationships. Many conflicts arise not because of real problems, but because of emotional reactions. People allow pride, anger, or insecurity to escalate simple misunderstandings into major disputes. They say things they don't mean in the heat of the moment, damaging relationships beyond repair. But those who control their emotions communicate with patience and understanding. They listen before reacting. They do not allow temporary feelings to dictate their words and actions. As a result, they build stronger, healthier relationships, both personally and professionally. Perhaps the most underrated benefit of emotional control is its impact on decision-making. When emotions take over, judgment becomes clouded. Fear can prevent you from taking necessary risks. Excitement can lead you to make reckless choices. Anger can push you to act in ways that you later regret. But when you develop emotional control, you can assess situations objectively. You can weigh the pros and cons of a decision without being swayed by temporary emotions. This ability is essential in every aspect of life, from career choices to financial decisions to personal relationships. Achieving emotional control does not mean you become emotionless. It means you develop the ability to experience emotions without being ruled by them. It means you learn to pause before reacting, to question your own impulses, and to choose responses that align with your goals and values. This takes practice, but over time it becomes a defining strength. The ability to control your emotions is one of the most valuable skills you can develop. It allows you to handle stress, navigate conflicts, build strong relationships, and make wise decisions. It gives you resilience in the face of adversity and composure in moments of crisis. Most importantly, it puts you in control of your own life. Instead of being a prisoner to your emotions, you become the one who directs them, and that is true power. The pursuit of truth is one of the most difficult but essential journeys a person can take. It requires a willingness to face uncomfortable realities, to question long-held beliefs, and to put truth above personal pride. The reason so many people struggle with growth is not because they lack intelligence or ability. It is because they allow their ego to stand in the way of truth. They refuse to admit when they are wrong. They cling to illusions that make them feel secure, and they avoid anything that challenges their existing worldview. But true progress begins when a person prioritizes truth over ego, no matter how difficult it may be. The ego is a fragile thing. It thrives on validation, on the belief that we are right, competent, and in control. When something threatens that self-image, the ego reacts defensively. It tells us to reject criticism, to ignore opposing viewpoints, and to protect our pride at all costs. But the problem with this approach is that it keeps us trapped. If you refuse to acknowledge where you are wrong, how can you ever improve? If you refuse to see the flaws in your thinking, how can you ever grow? The answer is simple. You can't. The only way forward is to let go of ego and embrace the sometimes painful process of seeking the truth. One of the clearest signs that someone values truth over ego is their willingness to change their mind. Many people hold on to beliefs not because they are true, but because admitting they are wrong feels too uncomfortable. They would rather twist reality to fit their beliefs than adjust their beliefs to fit reality. But this is a dangerous way to live. Growth requires adaptability. It requires the humility to say, I was wrong, and the courage to ask, what is right? The strongest minds are not the ones that never change. They are the ones that are constantly refining their understanding based on new evidence and deeper insight. Putting truth over ego also means being open to criticism. Most people avoid criticism because it feels like an attack on their identity. But criticism, when it is constructive, is one of the greatest tools for improvement. A person who values truth listens to feedback even when it is uncomfortable. They ask themselves, is there something I can learn from this? Instead of immediately dismissing it. They do not see criticism as an insult, but as an opportunity to grow. The people who make the most progress in life are not the ones who avoid their flaws, but the ones who confront them head on and work to improve. Another important aspect of putting truth over ego is being willing to acknowledge personal weaknesses. Many people go through life pretending to be more knowledgeable, more capable, or more perfect than they really are because they fear looking weak. But real strength comes from honesty. If you don't know something, admit it. If you are struggling with something, face it. Pretending to be something you're not only delays your progress. The sooner you admit where you fall short, the sooner you can start working to improve. And ironically, this kind of honesty earns far more respect than arrogance ever could. People are drawn to those who are real, not those who are constantly trying to prove their superiority. Choosing truth over ego also means being willing to face uncomfortable realities about the world. Many people build their lives around comforting illusions. They tell themselves that everything is fine when it isn't, that they are in control when they are not, that their problems are someone else's fault rather than their own responsibility. But illusions, no matter how comforting, do not change reality. They only delay the inevitable moment when the truth forces itself upon you. The sooner you face the truth, no matter how difficult, the better prepared you will be to handle life's challenges. Perhaps the most difficult test of choosing truth over ego comes in personal relationships. Many conflicts arise not because of real disagreements, but because both sides are more interested in being right than in finding the truth. They argue to win, not to understand. They hold grudges rather than admit fault. But the healthiest relationships are built on honesty and humility. When both people are committed to truth rather than their own pride, they can communicate openly, admit mistakes, and grow together. Whether in friendships, romantic relationships, or professional settings, truth strengthens connections, while ego destroys them. Persistence is the ultimate marker of success, growth, and personal strength. It is the defining trait that separates those who achieve their goals from those who fall short. Intelligence, talent, and opportunity all play a role in success, but without persistence, they mean little. Many people start with enthusiasm, full of ambition and excitement, but when challenges arise, they give up. The ones who continue despite setbacks, failures, and obstacles are the ones who ultimately succeed. Persistence is not just about working hard. It is about refusing to quit, even when the path forward is difficult. Life is full of difficulties. No matter what path you choose, you will face setbacks. There will be times when nothing seems to be working, when progress is slow, and when doubt creeps in. Many people take these moments as signs that they should stop, that they are not good enough, or that their goals are unattainable. But those who understand the power of persistence see these moments differently. They recognize that struggle is part of the process. They understand that failure is not the end, it is a lesson, a stepping stone toward success. Every great achievement in history is the result of someone who refused to give up. One of the greatest strengths of persistence is its ability to overcome talent gaps. Many people believe that success belongs to those who are naturally gifted, but this is not true. The world is full of talented individuals who never reach their potential because they lack persistence. On the other hand, history is filled with examples of people who may not have been the most talented, but achieved greatness through sheer determination, hard work, repeated effort, and constant learning eventually surpass raw talent that goes unused. Persistence also builds resilience. When you keep pushing forward despite failures, you develop mental toughness. You stop fearing setbacks because you have experienced them before and survived. You learn to adapt, to find new solutions, and to keep moving forward even when things seem hopeless. This resilience becomes a powerful asset in all areas of life. Whether in career, relationships, personal development, or any other pursuit, the ability to persist through difficulty ensures long-term success. Another crucial aspect of persistence is that it separates temporary discomfort from permanent failure. Many people give up too soon because they mistake short-term struggles for long-term impossibility. They experience rejection, criticism, or a difficult challenge, and they assume they are not meant to succeed. But persistence means recognizing that discomfort is temporary. If you keep going, keep improving, and keep pushing through, you will eventually reach a breakthrough. Success is often just beyond the point where most people give up. The ability to persist also builds self-confidence. Every time you push through a challenge, you prove to yourself that you are capable of overcoming difficulties. Over time, this creates an unshakable belief in your own abilities. You develop the mindset that no matter what happens, you can handle it. This confidence is invaluable because it allows you to take risks, embrace new opportunities, and continue striving for greater achievements without fear of failure. In relationships, persistence is just as important as it is in personal goals. Strong friendships, marriages, and partnerships require effort. There will be disagreements, misunderstandings, and difficult times. Many people walk away at the first sign of struggle, believing that difficulty means something is broken. But those who understand the value of persistence know that strong relationships are built over time through effort, communication, and commitment. The willingness to work through challenges instead of giving up creates deeper, more meaningful connections. The same applies to personal growth. Many people start working on themselves, whether it's developing a new skill, improving their health, or changing a bad habit, only to give up when progress is slow. But true transformation takes time. The difference between those who succeed and those who don't is persistence. The ones who keep going, even when motivation fades, are the ones who ultimately change their lives. Persistence is not just about working hard. It is about working smart. It is about adjusting your approach when something is not working, learning from mistakes, and constantly improving. It does not mean blindly repeating the same actions and expecting different results. It means staying committed to the goal while being flexible in your methods. The most persistent people are also the ones who are willing to adapt, to seek new strategies, and to keep learning until they succeed. Ultimately, persistence is the greatest marker of success because it ensures that no obstacle is permanent. It transforms failure into experience, setbacks into lessons, and difficulties into growth. It is the key to unlocking potential, achieving long-term goals, and becoming stronger in the process. The path to success is rarely easy, but those who persist are the ones who reach the destination. No matter how difficult the journey, if you refuse to quit, you will eventually succeed.